Hey, do you ever get a little stuck when you're trying to say who owns something in English? Well, you are in exactly the right place. In just a couple of minutes, we're going to clear up all that confusion about possessive nouns so you can sound way more natural and confident. Ready? Let's jump right in.
Okay, so take a look at this sentence. The dog of my sister is very nice. Now look, people will totally get what you're saying, but it's a super common mistake for English learners. The great news? There's a much shorter and more natural way to say this.
So, does that sound familiar to you? If it does, please don't worry about it. Seriously, this is one of those tricky little parts of English grammar when you're just starting. But here's the best part. The fix is so simple. All right, so here it is, the simple fix. All we're going to do is replace that whole of thing with a tiny but super powerful little mark, the apostrophe followed by an S. That's it. This is literally the key to showing ownership and sounding way more like a native speaker.
So, what's the fancy grammar name for this? Well, we're talking about something called possessive nouns. It just means a noun that shows who or what owns something. And that little apostrophe, that's our big signal.
Okay, let's start with the number one most important rule. This is the one you'll use all the time. When you're talking about just one person or one thing, all you do is add an apostrophe and an S. Yep, that's it. Simple. And you can see exactly how this works here. The car of Manuel, nope, that becomes the much shorter, much better Manuel's car. Or the jacket that belongs to Aki becomes Aki's jacket. See how much cleaner that is? The person who owns the thing, Manuel, Aki, that's who gets the apostrophe S.
All right, so that's pretty easy for one person, right? But what happens when we're talking about more than one person or thing? You know, what if there are two sisters or a whole class of students?
For plurals, things are just a tiny bit different. But don't worry, there are only two simple rules to know. Let's break them down right now.
Okay, here's rule number one for plurals. If the word already ends in an S, like kids or students, you don't add another S. You just put the apostrophe after the S that's already there. So you get the kids' playground or the students' tests. See that? The apostrophe just hops to the very end. And now for our second plural rule. What about those plural words that don't end in S? You know, words like people or children or women. Well, for these, it's super easy. We just go right back to our very first rule, just add an apostrophe S. So we get people's opinions or children's bicycles. Simple, right?
Okay, you've learned the rules. That's the hard part done. Now you know the best way to make something stick in your brain. It's to actually use it. So let's do a couple of quick practice questions together, right now.
All right, first one up, we see Sylvia and we see a car. So the question is, whose car is it? Think back to that very first rule we talked about. Did you get it? I bet you did. It's Sylvia's car, right? One person, Sylvia. So we just add that S. Perfect. Awesome. Let's try one more. Okay, here we have Dave, and he's got two dogs. So, whose dogs are they? And the answer is, they're Dave's dogs. See, even though there are two dogs, there's only one owner, Dave. So we stick with that simple first rule. Dave, apostrophe S, dogs. You're totally getting the hang of this.
Great job with that practice. Honestly, we've covered everything you really need to know. So let's just wrap up with this super quick summary of the 3 key rules you need to remember. Okay, here they are. If you only remember one thing from all of this, make it this. For one person or thing, add S. Simple. For a plural that already ends in S, just add the apostrophe at the end. And for a plural that doesn't end in S, add S. That's the whole system, right there. Not so bad, is it?
Okay, now it's your turn to practice in the real world. I've got a little mission for you. Right now, look around you. Find an object. If you're with a friend, ask them, whose phone is that? And if it belongs to your friend Maria, you know exactly what to say. It's Maria's phone. The more you practice, the easier it gets, for sure. And that's really it. The big secret to possessive nouns is just those 3 simple rules. You've officially leveled up from saying the dog of my sister to my sister's dog. So now I've got a question for you. How are you going to use your new English skill today? Thanks so much for joining me.